I'm getting ready to make the masa, which is the dough. I have just under a half of a bag of this I use the masa brosa, but you can use Maseca for tamales. You can use any kind of cornmeal, corn flour for tortillas or tamales. I prefer for tamales just because it's what I'm used to, but at the same time, this is what I have on hand for one, and for two, I like the fact that it's organic. A lot of the other cornmeal that you're going to find is going to be somewhat genetically modified, and I prefer not to put such things in my body if I can help it. Now, granted, I will show you, I have a humongous bowl, but this is what I use typically when I have an entire bag of this. But since it's what I always use for my masa, I'm just going to keep on with my tradition. I'm going to get a teeny little bit more just so that I can say I have about a half a bag, because I wanted to do about a half a bag. So I'll be right back and I'll get that and I'll start that up. Alright, so here I've got another bag. I'm going to just add just a little bit of it, not a whole lot. I just want it to be an approximate of a half a bag as to what I'm putting in there. In part because I know the measurements that I have for an actual bag, so that's one of the reasons. But also, I really am not in the mood to have that many tamales, as much as I love them, but I don't need that many because I could not probably eat them in time. So here I've got it in here, not a big deal. There we go. And then the next thing that you want to do, you want to get some kind of a baking powder. You want to take, some might measure it, I don't, as far as like with a measuring spoon. I'll take it, and since it's only a half bag, I'm not going to worry about the fact that it's, you know, I usually will take a heaping tablespoon or serving tablespoon. You just want to, just an approximate. If I do a whole bag, I will do a heaping serving tablespoon, and then I'll usually add a little bit more. The woman that taught me how to make these, actually, she only put in one heaping tablespoon, serving tablespoon. So then you just take it and just kind of mix it up, because you want that in there. I mean, you could probably use a mixer with it, but this is how I've always done it, so it's not a big deal. A lot of ladies that do tamales will use something called manteca or lard. I never have. The woman that taught me how to make tamales, she always ever used oil. And that's the way that I do it. I have started to watch a couple videos here and there that use manteca, and it sounded really good. It sounded like something I'd love to try, but I have not done it yet. So, but that's that. It's just incorporated, kind of like what you would do with the mixer. I'm just doing it with a spoon. There you go. And then next, you want to take, I personally love this oil for these tamales. I started out using Mazola corn oil, and at one particular time, especially after I started learning a little bit more about genetically modified foods and things like that, I had a friend come over that she was going to start learning how to make tamales, and I was trying to be thoughtful about her because she does everything organic pretty much, and so I was trying to get something that I would think that she would be more comfortable eating. So I went ahead and tried this, and I tried the masa with it, and the flavor was just, oh my word, it was so much better. So this is what I use. Does it mean that you have to? No. You can use Mazola. You can use whatever oil that you prefer. I remember that when I've tried tamales in Mexico, in general, it's, what is it called? A lot of them will have a buttery flavor that I have not yet been able to figure out how to get to, but that's that. I've thought about trying butter, and I have not yet been that brave. So if one of y'all tries it with butter, absolutely let me know how it turns out. So now, because this is only about a half a bag, I'm going to put approximately half of this bottle. If I use an entire bag of the masa, Maseca, or your cornmeal, if I use an entire bag, I will use an entire bottle. This is 25.4 fluid ounces, which is 750 milliliters. But since it's only half a bag, I'm going to use approximately half of this bottle. Yes, it's a teeny bit more expensive, but sometimes you don't want to skimp on flavor, and also the fact that olive oil is so very healthy for you. Why skimp on health, right? Because you want something that's going to be healthy. And then after I figure this out, I will see how that works as far as, you know, if it's enough oil, because I may have put in more of the cornmeal than what I thought. I'm not sure, but at the same time, I'll just play it by ear and we'll see how it works. And then I'm going to do, it's just over a cup and a half because you want approximately 350 milliliters. So let's see, yeah, we'll right around a cup and a half. I could be wrong, because typically a cup is supposed to be right around 240 milliliters, so half of that would be 120, so that would be 360, so we're good. So right about a cup and a half if you're going to do a half of a bag like I am. Alright, so now you've got this in here, and I'm about to get my hands dirty, so it'll be interesting. But anyways, here we go. I'm going to just start swirling this around. If I feel like it's a little bit too wet, I'll go ahead and add a teeny little bit more of the cornmeal, but it very well may. And we'll see in a minute. But you definitely want to get your hands in this. This is not something that you can use your beater or anything like that with. You want to use your hands because your hands will feel it. Okay, I wish in a way that I could do this with people present, because that's how I've ever taught anyone else how to do this. Feels like it's probably a teeny bit too much of the oil, so I'm going to add just a little bit more of the cornmeal, because it just, as much as I don't mind having a little bit of extra oil, but yet you don't want it to be, you know, like, you don't want your tamales to be oily either, okay? You want them to be, and obviously you don't want them to be dry. So you just want it, it's starting to look good. Okay, I think that may be good. Because it's, let me see if I can't show you, okay? Alright, I'm going to show you this like here. It's still easily unclumping, but you want it to clump together. The best that I can describe it, like I've described to other people that I have taught how to make tamales, is if you've ever been to the beach and you go and play in the sand at the beach and you want to try to do a sand castle, that is the consistency that you want when you're making the masa, okay? Now, granted, obviously that's not going to be the end result, but that is what you want when you're incorporating that oil. You want it to be pretty much throughout the entire thing, that any part of it that you pick up and you can do like that, you want it to stay almost like a snowball. I'm trying to think of anything that I can relate that to show you what you're looking for when you're making these things, because it's so easy once you know, but at the same time I want it to be easily relatable for anyone that doesn't. Okay, now we're ready to get the broth in there. And that's the reason that I love to have that onion and the garlic in there, because it adds a beautiful flavor. And I'll be right back and I'll show you a teeny little hack with that as well. It may not be a hack for some people, but at the same time, it's something that I had to learn through lots of trial and error. I can promise you that. And so I'll be right back. Alright, so now I'm back. I know it's only been another couple seconds, but here we are. Okay, now, I will admit, last night I forgot to add any salt with the chicken. So, but at the same time, it's a moot point, because the chicken takes on the flavor of everything else. I don't care. But once you're getting ready to make this masa, you want to have some salt in that broth, because you need there to be salt in the masa. Okay? So before you even start to make the masa, check your broth. Okay, it should be a teeny bit salty. You don't want it too salty, but you do want it to be a teeny bit saltier. You want it to be a teeny bit saltier than what you would want it to be for broth in general, as broth, okay? Alright. I'm just making sure that that dilutes and everything like that. Alright, I'm going to take that. I'm going to check out how salty it is. Nope, need some more. Alright. And like I said, you can use any kind of salt that you prefer. While I was with the X, I always used iodized salt. I now use pink Himalayan salt, but you do you, right? And I'll be right back as soon as this is salty enough, and we'll be ready to make the masa and finish it up. Okay, here we are. Now, I've got this. I think it's pretty good. It probably may need a little bit more salt in a minute, but one thing I'm going to tell you is, especially if you're going to be making an entire bag of the cornmeal, dump it in there. I would say just about almost all of that broth. You will probably need all of it, okay? I'm actually a little bit nervous, but I shouldn't be. But typically you can add in a bunch of broth and it usually will just start chupando. It's like it sucks it all up, okay? Usually whenever I make this, I start to get a little bit nervous at the beginning, and then I start to, get it all mixed together, and then the nerves go away. So I was thinking for a second that since it's been so long since I've made only a half of a bag, I'm like, oh no, did I put in too much? And now I'm like, nope, I think it's probably almost perfect. I won't say that, and this would be a first, okay? I never put in enough or too much in general on the first try. I might put in too much after a couple of tries, but it's never been on the first try. So here we go. All right. Yes, yes, yes. This is actually looking just about perfect. I think I'm going to add just a couple more drizzles in there. But before I do that, actually, I'm going to take a little piece of this, okay? This is what I will tell anybody. You want to try your masa to make sure that you like the salt content. You want to make sure that you like the way that it's tasting. Because as my sister-in-law said, in general, your fillings, as far as with that definitely you need the sauce to be right, because the vegetables are going to be the same, the chicken's going to be the same, but you need for that sauce to be right, and you need for your masa to be right, okay? Because if they're not right, the whole tamal is just not right, okay? So you just want to take a little bit of that, and as I expected, it could use just a teeny itsy bitsy little bit more salt, but otherwise we're good. All right. Okay. I'm gonna just add just a teeny little bit. Y'all are probably looking at me like, just a teeny little bit. Anyways, but it's not a huge amount, but also, like I said before with some of my other videos, that the pink Himalayan salt doesn't add the same salt content. Now, of course, I've just added just a little bit more of that broth, and I like to add that salt before I add the broth, because of course that broth makes the salt dilute and it helps to incorporate it into the masa a little bit better. And just like what I say with tamales, it's not tamales, it's the same as what I say about tortillas. Same with the tamal masa. Okay, your dough, you want it to pretty much be to a point that it's not sticking to your hands. I won't say that it's completely unstuck, because you're going to have some stuff that's going to stick to you, right? That's just normal. Okay, there's a certain amount that it's going to stick. But once it's not really sticking to you anymore and it's easily moldable, that's the big thing, okay? Easily moldable and not sticking, okay? Then it's ready to go, okay? It's not sticking to my hands, easy, but it'll keep its shape. Okay, that's what you're looking for. And I will try it again, see for salt content. That actually is really good. It's been since June. And of course, like I've said before, it is now November. I have not made tamales since June. So let's see, that would be 6. Now it's 11. So we're looking 5 months ago. And before that, it was just about since Christmas. So yeah, I have not made mini tamales ever since I moved in with just me and my kids. And I don't believe that I made any while I was living with my parents for 11 months, almost 12 months. But some things are like riding a bike. You never really lose it. So, in any case, yep, there we go. We are ready